you done now? Oh, Brad, what have you done now?
As they said in the film, Back to the Future, where we're going, we don't need roads.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
Marty! You've got to come back with me!
Back to the future!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Back to the Future, the podcast. The only podcast looking back in time at the greatest film trilogy of all time, Back to the Future. I'm your friend in time, Brad Gilmore, and welcome. Welcome to Season 6 of the show. I am beyond excited to be talking to you all today because today is a very special day. It's a very special day, and it's funny. I started this podcast. I don't know if I've ever told the story on the show, so bear with me if I have, but I started this podcast nearly 5 years ago in spring of 2015. Excuse me while I try to get my headphones together here. In spring of 2015, and I did so because there was no other Back to the Future related podcast out there at the time, right? It didn't exist. And I said, man, I can't believe there's never been a Back to the Future podcast. So I decided to start it. And it was going to just be, an offshoot of my main feed, The Brad Gilmore Show. And, I said, no, this deserves its own feed because no one is talking about Back to the Future in long form. And since that day, I decided to do the first episode. I've gotten to talk to Jeffrey Weissman, Claudia Wells, Crispin Glover, Harry Waters Jr., Kevin Pike, Cassine Gaines, Jason Aaron. I mean, the list goes on and on of J.J. Harrison, Ian Desher, of people I've gotten to talk to related to this Back to the Future franchise. And I never thought that it would parlay into this. And this is a special announcement that I'm going to be making here. Earlier today, I went on a show called SEN Live, which is the Schmodown Entertainment Network, which are people I really work really close to, Mark and Christian, the Schmoes. And they have a very popular movie reviewers, and they have a popular show on YouTube. So I called in to make the announcement there, and I'm going to be playing that announcement for all of you because it is Back to the Future related, and it is pretty heavy, if you know what I mean. So I really just want to thank all of you before this announcement's made, all the pinheads out there who have kept this show alive throughout all my iterations. I mean, after season 1, I had David Boy Mitchell and Norm Binford come on for season 2. Davey left, and we had Norm come back on for season 3, and then Norm kind of went off, and then I just did season 4 Netflix style, and then season 5 seemed to be like this long, never-ending season that spanned like a whole year, I think, of just a few episodes, and then now I'm here at season 6, and here's the one thing before I get into this announcement. This season 6, is not going to be sporadic. It's going to be week to week. I'm going to be having really cool people on the show going forward, and we're going to be talking about all things Back to the Future. And I think we're going to have a real long season. And I'm really excited to sit down and finally, get back to doing this on a regular basis because I've had some other stuff that I've been going on. The show with Booker on ESPN Radio, and then doing what I'm about to announce. So I think that without me rambling on anymore, let me get to this announcement. This was me earlier today on SEN Live with my guy Mark Ellis, John Roca, Ben Goddard, and the lovely Kate Mulligan, making a big, huge Back to the Future related announcement. Here it is.
All right, Brad, you've got a big announcement. I'm really curious to see what it is because I honestly don't know. Let's do it.
All right. Well, the thing that's been so cool, and the reason why I wanted to do this on SEN with the great community that we have is I don't think there's ever been a fan base, and I work around wrestling and all kinds of stuff. I don't think there's ever been a fan base as rabid and loyal as the Schmodown community has been to me. Yeah. I mean, even since I've started, I don't know, it's been like 2 years that I've been around doing the show with Frank who, by the way, is an absolute gem. That guy, Frank, is so good, and it's an honor to work with him and a privilege. But, since we've been doing the show, I've seen just such an awesome response from the audience. And even, last week or whenever it was when I was going heel on everybody on Twitter, just playing around, even that was so much fun just to have the interplay. And that's why I wanted to make this announcement here on the show. I am really proud to announce that I am following in the footsteps of guys like Ken Knapsack or Jason Inman. And on April the 14th of 2020, I will be releasing my very first book about Back to the Future, which is my favorite film franchise. My favorite film franchise of all time is Back to the Future. And I've done a podcast for the last 5 years about it. And the great folks over there at Mango Publishing, we started getting into conversations with each other. And next thing you know, they said, we want you to write a book about Back to the Future. I said, I'd be honored to. So Back from the Future, a celebration of the greatest time travel story ever told, is available for pre-order right this second on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
That's
and
awesome.
It's going to be released in hardcover in April. And I just wanted to, come on here and talk about it. Mark Ellis was blessed me with a little bit of a blurb for the book, and he read a little bit of the project. And I'm just excited because this has been my favorite franchise forever. And I still think it's the greatest pure trilogy of movies. Franchises just have 3 entries, no more, no less. I think Back to the Future competes with them all. And, my grandmother died in 2016 from Parkinson's disease. And I know Michael J. Fox and his work in Parkinson's has made me love these movies even harder. So it's really an honor for me to get to immortalize my thoughts and opinions about what I believe to be the greatest time travel story ever told.
I'll tell you what, Brad, we're all so excited for you. I'm really happy that your special announcement when you said following in the footsteps of people like Ken Knapsack was not that you also are going to go into stand-up comedy, because I just don't have the time. I can't get that many people on one show. But the Back to the Future thing.
I just got booted, didn't I?
Get in line, Gilmore.
It's going to get a tight 90 seconds.
Because I'm a huge Back to the Future fan, too. And Brad will ratify this, is that when Brad first told me about the project, the first thing I said, I quoted Back to the Future. I was like, get out of town. I didn't know you did anything creative. I love doing that line to people. But no, he sent me a fair portion of the book. And look, to get me to read something, you really got to twist my arm, or you have to say it's about Back to the Future, because I think that Back to the Future, the first film, I think it's the most fun movie ever made. I think it might be the most entertaining movie that you could possibly put on a screen. I still get chills when he plugs in and he rips into Johnny Be Good after Earth Angel.
I thought you meant at the beginning.
It's the best when he's too loud for Huey Lewis.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right, yeah. Even before that, there's so many great moments in that, and Brad's book does a really good job of highlighting the characters. It celebrates the overall fun of the trilogy, but he really gets in deep with some of the pathos of somebody like a Biff. And obviously Marty and Doc, and so it's a really well-rounded piece, and I'm so excited for everybody to check it out. I 100% co-sign what he said, and go pre-order it right now. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah, Brad showed it to me when we were there at the award show last weekend, and I immediately went home and pre-ordered it. So I'm looking forward to it as well.
That, man.
No, of course, dude.
And what Mark was saying about the book and what it is, I mean, there's been other books that are about the making of the trilogy. I mean, there's The Ultimate Visual History. There's We Don't Need Roads, which is a book by Cassine Gaines. They're all phenomenal books. So I wanted to go in a completely different way. I mean, I obviously cover the making of the trilogy. I do some background information, but a lot of us diehard fans, we know a lot about that. So I wanted to get into things that haven't been covered. That's like the animated series, the ride, the comic books. I even have some chapters in the book called The Almanac, where I kind of rank the greatest inventions, the greatest looks of the time machine. I mean, all these kinds of things. And one of the chapters that I'm most proud of is a chapter called American Time Story, Old Man Biff, where there was a deleted scene in Back to the Future Part 2 that was cut out. And I think that it was one of the worst cuts in cinematic history, and it could have changed the entire franchise if they would have left it in. And I kind of go in deep on that as well. So there's fan theories, there's lists, there's behind-the-scenes information. And, I've hosted the Back to the Future podcast for the last 5 years, and I've talked to everyone from Crispin Glover to Claudia Wells, who played Jennifer
I bet that
Parker.
wasn't weird at all.
It was very strange in some ways, but he's great. I mean, it was great to have him on. Jeffrey Wiseman, who was the guy who replaced Crispin Glover in parts 2 and 3. I've had him on. You talked about Marvin Berry, Harry Waters Jr., who sang Earth Angel in the film. I've had all these people on, and I've gotten to know the community over the last 5 years. So it's really it's just so awesome to write a book about Back to the Future. I mean, here I am. I was born after all 3 movies were released. I don't mean to make you feel even older, Roca, but
I feel like you didn't need to drop that.
I took Brad, you're breaking up. Sorry.
I took your mother to the first film, Brad. It didn't work out, but go ahead.
It's all good. It's all good. I wondered why I couldn't grow a beard either.
Touche, my friend.
Headlining in the New York Comedy Club, Brad Gilmore.
Yeah, thank you. No, but I'm just so excited. Like I said, I mean, for me to do anything to tie myself to this franchise in any way is just like beyond my wildest imagination. And I never thought that I would write a book, let alone I never thought I'd be hosting an after show about a movie trivia competition. So you don't know where this crazy life's going to take you, but I'm just so happy that I have people like all of y'all over there who've been so supportive of me, and Christian who's given me such a great platform. And I'm just excited to really let the people read this project, because this writing a book kind of sucks. Like, it's a really hard process. So I'm happy that we're now in like the final stages to where people can start to pre-order it. And then in a couple months, hardcover edition comes out, because in July, it's the 35th anniversary of the release of the first film.
Right.
So it's kind of good timing for everything.
Yeah, Knapsack talked about it when he was doing the Star Wars book, how much of a chore it was to write that thing. And you have to make yourself, because you have to hit a deadline, you have to do all these kinds of things, how much effort it actually takes.
Writing it's the hardest part of my job as a comic. It's the toughest thing is actually because you'll be driving around and just have funny thoughts pop in your head sometimes, but to actually sit down and continue the craft, because it does unlock a side of your brain if you continue to do it every day. I have this project that I have a deadline for on Thursday that I have to write a bunch of stuff for, and it's like me writing anything, it's like James Caan writing In Misery halfway through the movie after he's had his legs clubbed and he's not being fed anything, and Annie's turned and he's just on a typewriter and he doesn't even have, the end doesn't work, and it's like, that's how I feel writing all the time. So for Brad to be able to crank this thing out, Kate, let me ask you a question while we have Brad on the horn.
Yes.
Just about Back to the Future. Is your family, because it was a big movie in my family, like when we were little kids.
Yeah.
Are your kids of Back to the Future age yet?
No, not yet. Well, I don't know, because I've definitely let my 4.5-year-old watch The Mandalorian. So my judgment's questionable. By the way, Brad, I need you to know my parents' real names. This is, honest to God, I'm not making this up. My parents are George and Lorraine.
No, that can't be true.
I swear to God, George and Lorraine Mulligan, but I swear to God. So we were a huge Back to the Future family.
Did they meet at a Fish Under the Sea dance?
They basically
rhythmic ceremonial ritual.
They met each other in high school. But
well done, Brad.
Anyway, but yeah, no, I was a definite Back to the Future. This is gonna be controversial, Brad.
You're talking to Brad. I thought you were gonna say your dad's name is Booker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad's name is Booker. My mom's name is T. I don't love the third. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry I said it, Brad.
See, a lot of people
I'm in
say
your
that.
boat.
A lot of people say that. A lot of people say that. But when you go and you watch it, part 3 is most like the first. Like, you know, it's Marty and Doc stuck in the past, trying to find out how to get back to the future. And, there's the love story in there with Mary Steenburgen. It is really fun. I think, though, it's kind of like, I don't know if y'all, how many of y'all are big Bond fans, but if you watch Casino Royale, I feel like I have to watch Quantum of Solace right after, since it picks up right there. And it's the same thing with Back to the Future 2 and 3.
I have the same exact thing. That's you are speaking my life right now.
So
Wait,
I have to watch
Back to the Future
and 3.
I get it.
Let me ask you, what did you just, of course, hosting that podcast for 5 years, talking to all those people, being a massive fan, did writing the book unlock anything new for you as a fan of the film or as a analyst of the series, of the trilogy?
Absolutely. And the thing is like, I've always just been diehard on the movies. So to kind of jump into the expanded universe of the animated series, of the Back to the Future theme park ride, of even the new comic book series, which the guy who wrote Back to the Future, Bob Gale, he writes the comic book series. So there's this whole other, world of Back to the Future that I really wasn't even covering that much, because the animated series wasn't even released till a couple of years ago. So I didn't grow up with it. I didn't know anything about it. And then to go in there and find out that Tom Wilson still reprised his role as Biff, or Mary Steenburgen plays, Clara Clayton, and all these people. The guy who voiced Homer Simpson is the guy who voices Doc. And the animated series is how we got Bill Nye the Science Guy. That's what launched his career. To find out stuff like that, I had no idea before. So yeah, it definitely
Built
unlocked
by the
more
science guy.
trivia and things that I was just unaware of.
Brad, I just I had to look up a fact really quick because I was talking to you and Frank after the Schmodown Awards and draft, which by the way, it was great being on stage with y'all during the draft. You guys crushed
Yeah, you guys
it.
are amazing.
Well, the host wasn't bad either, Kate.
The host
Beard.
was his beard was fuckable. I'll tell you that.
Here we go.
Sure.
So obviously everybody knows I'm a huge Van Halen fan, and I love the scene in Back to the Future where Marty is like, I got to do something that's futuristic to get George to ask Lorraine to the dance, and so he plays him from his Walkman. He plays him a tape, and it says Edward Van Halen on it. And I was always of the opinion that it's awesome, it's a great reference, but that's not actually Van Halen. It's not a Van Halen song. According to an interview in 2012 with TMZ, Eddie Van Halen confirmed that he actually did come in and record something for Back to the Future.
No
According to
way.
Eddie, he said, yeah, it was just a bunch of noise. So I don't know because the drums sound a little bit like Alex. So I don't know if Alex was playing drums, but that is actually, you're hearing the greatest guitar player of all time into George
my
McFly's
God.
ears in 1955.
Wow.
That's
the greatest.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the thing too. I mean, the movie, not only to have Eddie Van Halen just come in for that, but I don't know if there's a better 1980s movie song than "The Power of Love," by Huey Lewis, and to have all. I mean, is there a better song than "The Power of Love"?
I'm going to throw some nominees at you, but I think you might have just won it because Danger Zone is up there.
Danger Zone's up there.
Kenny Loggins himself is
Footloose is better than Power of Love. I'm sorry.
No.
Kenny Loggins, Footloose. You hear that song and you get up and you start to dance.
Hey, you don't need no credit card, but you cannot be John Roca to ride this train.
Brad,
look,
we're
bud,
so happy for you.
We're so proud
That's
of you, man. I
awesome.
cannot wait.
Yeah.
I'm telling everybody
Yeah.
to pre-order the book. This book belongs on the back of your toilet right next to Ken Knapsack's Why We Love Star Wars.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely, and you can go, like I said, pre-order it on Amazon.com, on Barnes & Noble, or you can go to backfromthefuturebook.com and check out new episodes of the podcast are coming this week. We're going to have a fun episode coming up with Kevin Smith where we recast Back to the Future for a new generation. So it's going to be pretty fun. So, yeah, y'all got to check it out, and thank you so much for the time. I appreciate you all. I love you all, and I think I'm going to be seeing some of you in Atlanta.
Yeah. All right, get your 5 minutes ready. I'm doing stand-up in Atlanta, too.
Type 5 coming up.
Type 5.
All right. Thanks so much, Brad.
Congrats, Brad.
Y'all take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I don't know why I
Bye.
yelled.
So there you have it. There you have it. All my pinheads out there. It is official. Your man Brad Gilmore has a book coming out April the 14th, 2020. 35 years, almost 35 years. After Back to the Future Part 1 was released in the summer of 1985, I have a book celebrating Back to the Future, not only the movies, but the animated series, the ride, the comic books, fan theories, the almanac, all of it. And you're going to be able to get that book right now. You can pre-order it right now at backfromthefuturebook.com, amazon.com, barnesandnoble.com, or IndieBound to find it at your favorite independent bookstore around the country and around the world for that matter, because we are a worldwide podcast, and I could not have done this without all of you pinheads who are just so awesome and have kept me going with this podcast for as long as I have. And I am so thrilled that we're going to be able to continue this podcast into the future. That was a good spot to end, right? Backforthefuturebook.com. Go to Amazon.com, pre-order it right now. We're a #1 new release right now on Amazon. #1 new release. So keep that going. Keep the pre-orders coming in. And subscribe to the podcast. Until next time, I'm Brad Gilmore, and I'll see you in the future.
Oh, Brad, what have you done now? Oh, Brad, what have you done now?